Hello there. In this video I'm going to show you 4 different tools you can use to create rectangles in a sketch and also how you can dimension them. So let's open up Inventor, and once we're in it we'll open up a new part and open up a new 2D sketch. If you haven't seen my previous videos on circles and lines and arcs, check those out before moving on to creating rectangles. Let's talk about these 4 tools. So let's talk about the 2-point rectangle first. So first point that you will be required to assign is a corner point. Since it's a new sketch, I will be doing it at the origin, and then you'll be going from corner to opposite corner. The first way to dimension it would just be writing in the dimensions while it's being created. So let's say we want it to be a 1x2 rectangle. So we press 1 and then tab and then 2 and then press enter, and there you go. You have created a 1x2 rectangle. But let's say that you first freehand the rectangle and it's just like this, and now you want to dimension it. You can just use the dimension tool. So let's click on that, and you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either just click the side length and then define it. Let's say we want that to be 1 this time, or you can define the distance between 2 sides, which will then become just the length of this line. You can do either one, both work. So press green check mark, and there we go. So that is the 2 ways that you can dimension a rectangle. So now to unselect the dimension tool, you can press the escape key or right click OK. Let's move on to the next tool, 3-point rectangle. So just like before, you'll be choosing a corner point first, and then you'll be choosing another point that is on the same side. So let's define it as 3 inches at a 45-degree angle. And now we have to define one more dimension, the width of it. So we can just type it in, what we want it to be. Let's say we want it to be 1, enter. There we go. So you'll notice that in this new 3-point rectangle, there is a construction line that is perfectly horizontal. So this is pretty essential because this is what defines the reference line or reference angle, so that this rectangle is at a 45-degree angle. So now let's create it free-handed. So let's use the tool again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now let us create something that is in the opposite direction. Let's say you want it to be another 45 degrees down. So let's take a line, and let's first do it from the point here. Let's press escape. Length doesn't matter because angle is what is needed for the reference. So let's make this construction as well. So it's construction, so now it won't interfere with the sketch. So now let's define the lengths of this rectangle. Use dimension tool. Easiest way here would just be to dimension the distance between these 2 lines, so to dimension this side, or double click and you get it perfectly horizontal, same length. Let's type in 2 here, enter, and let's do that again. Let's type in 3 here. Alright, so we got a 3x2 rectangle, but now we want it to be another 45 degrees below this. So let's first define it. We have the dimension tool selected. Let's select one of the lines and another line. Let's change it to 30 degrees. Press enter. And there we go. We got a 30-degree angle between the horizontal and this line. So that was the 3-point rectangle. And you'll notice that we had to do the extra step from here to here, which was the construction line. So that will be something that is common to this 3-point and 3-point center. So now let's talk about the 2-point center. So first point that you'll be tasked to select is the center point. And then we will dimension it to be, let's say, 2 by 1. Enter. There we go. And then let's just dimension it so that it is 2 inches away from the origin point. What I did was just select the center point here and center point here and just typed in 2. There we go. So one thing that you'll notice is that this is still green. That's because it can still move and rotate around the graph. So one thing that you'll notice when creating center 2-point rectangle is that there are extra diagonals that are added on. So now let me just show you how you can dimension a center 2-point rectangle with the dimension tool. So let's just create, and obviously this is already horizontal, so that's not going to change. But let's just change the dimensions of it. So let's make it 2 by 3, enter, and let's dimension the distances between these. So let's say we want it to be 1 inch by distance between this. Let's say we want that to be 0. Enter. So you can make it 0. And now let me show you how you can create a 3-point center rectangle. So it's kind of the same thing. First create your center point where you want it, then you'd make your length. So let's just say we want it to be about right here. and it'll go out in both directions. You'll notice that for the length and the width. So just create it. And now let me use the dimension tool to create the angles and all that type of stuff. So let's first dimension this. Let's just double click, 2, enter, let's do this. Let's say we want 4, enter. So now we got a 2x4 rectangle, but we want to make it a certain angle. We want to make it 60 degrees. So let's first make our horizontal construction line on this point. Right click, construction. And now let's define that angle between them. Let's use the dimension tool and select, and 60. Enter. So now we got 60 degrees, but let's also define the distance from this point to this point. We can still drag this around. Let me press the escape button to unselect the dimension tool. You'll notice that we can still drag this around. That's why it's green. So let's say we drag this so that it's perfectly on that point. You'll notice that that point there becomes a green dot. That means that it's going to fully constrain there. So let's just do it, and there you go, it's blue now. So yeah, that's how you can dimension rectangle 3-point center with the dimension tool. Now let me just show you how you can create it quickly. So just type in what length you want. Let's say we want it to be 3, and let's say you want it to be 45 degrees. Press enter, and now you have to define the length, and you can just type in 1, let's say, and enter. And you'll notice that the exact same construction line setup is there. And then we can just move this onto here. And there you go, guys. And that is all for rectangle tools and each and every possible way that you can dimension it, either from creation or with the dimension tool. Let me know if you have any comments or thoughts on what I should do next. But that's been it. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next one. Peace.